Crockett herself even admitted that she was encouraged to jump in the race by all the positive polling.
One of the most progressive states in America. It's a working class state. It's a young.
Why? Because it's filled with illegals, like Arizona too?
State, strong Latino population.
Oh,
black
yes.
population.
That's exactly why.
Texas is a state where President Trump won by 14 points. She's saying she doesn't need Trump voters for her to win this. Yes, she does. Listen, you know she can't win. I know she can't win, and she does apparently too.
Jasmine Crockett got played. You see, this report says the Republicans essentially goaded her into running for Senate there in Texas because she's the worst candidate of all time. And they wanted her to be on the ticket so that they could obliterate her. This came out from notice.org telling us an Astroturf recruitment process was underway to get her in the race. Says the National Republicans propped her up with robocalls to push her into a Senate run. And she bought it. The NRSC started including Crockett's name in polling. And then they're like, wow, she's a disaster. We definitely need her to run. And we were contemplating this yesterday saying, man, we might want her to be the Democrat presidential nominee. But if we lose, that's a big problem. But I don't think we would. Republican Senate campaign arm has actively worked behind the scenes to encourage Crockett to get into the race. And she did it. They think that she's going to be the easiest opponent to beat. Just a month ago, there was a grave concern among Republicans in the Senate where the incumbent John Cornyn is running for re-election out there in Texas. Democrats were running two formidable candidates, and Cornyn, right, they had Colin Allred, who's like been running and almost winning. He's pretty middle of the road, kind of moderate, ex-NFL dude. I think he was a lawyer kind of thing. Cornyn was caught in the middle of a bruising three-way primary. He's going against Ken Paxton, and then he's going to come out all damaged. They said, oh crap, so we can't do that. Who can Cornyn beat easily? Jasmine. The National Republican Senatorial Committee put out a poll in July, which showed her leading in a hypothetical matchup. They said, we saw the results and we were like, okay, we got to disseminate this far and wide. Crockett would clean up in a Democrat primary. Now, the fact that she was included in that poll is no accident. In June, the news broke that Colin Allred, James Tallarico, Beto O'Rourke, Joaquin Castro, they all met. They all got together. They're like, all right, who's going to run? Operatives at the Republicans realized that Crockett, whose political stock had been rising, was not in there. Okay, they got all these four people that are good candidates, much better than Jasmine. They said, she's not even in this. We got to hear from her. Crockett herself even admitted that she was encouraged to jump in the race by all the positive polling. The more I saw the polls, I couldn't ignore the trends. They were so clear, like I can win the primary. Now, she didn't return a request for comment. They're like, those polls were written by Republicans, right? But the Republican efforts didn't stop there. In what the source dubbed an Astroturf recruitment process, the Republican Senate committee had allies that were seeding these new polls pretty aggressively into progressive digital spaces. They're like, these are great, Jasmine. Look at this poll we just ran on you. They didn't include you, but we did, and you beat them all. There were several recruitment phone calls and text messages that went out to Democrats and high propensity voters across the state that would urge the voters to contact and advocate for Crockett to join the race. They're saying, call Jasmine. You're like a super lefty. Call Jasmine. She can win this. Look at the numbers. That was really a sustained effort that we orchestrated across the ecosystem for several months, said the Republican Senate committee. Not only was it getting positive news coverage, but her office was directly having traffic driven to it in terms of phone calls urging her to run. So good. Cornyn was trailing significantly in the polls to Ken Paxton, and Wesley Hunt was creeping up on him too. Polls also showed that Paxton fared far worse against Allred and Tallarico. Okay, so even if Paxton comes out on top, then he could still lose to these guys because he's a little bit more right wing. They're a little bit more, centrist, you could argue. Now, then this past week, Allred dropped out. He's running for the House, and Crockett is taking the place. The NRSC also worked to ensure that, quote, they were communicating to donors and others in the Republican campaign what they were seeing in the polling. Okay, Crockett can win, but she'll lose the general. Now that Crockett is in the race, the work is not done. There have been conversations with outside groups about the possibility of working to stand up an independent expenditure to prop her candidacy up. Okay, so they want to support her even in the primaries. So she clearly wins. We don't want a more centrist person to beat her in the primaries. It's not all too different than what we're already doing on a daily basis, trying to find the most vulnerable Democrats to take the lead. And so Jasmine bought it. She jumped into the race. She came out with a very narcissistic video video of herself listening to Trump call her a moron, which is all fact check true. And now she's in the race. So here Bernie came out and he's like, oh crap, we're in trouble. Collins asked him, do you think Democrats could actually win a Senate seat in Texas with Jasmine? Here's what Bernie had to say about it.
Texas has been this kind of white whale for Democrats that you caucus with. Obviously, you rightly noted you're an independent. Do you think that Democrats could actually win a Senate seat there this time?
Don't get me going on Texas. Texas should be, in my view, one of the most progressive states in America. It's a working class state. It's a young.
Why? Because it's filled with illegals like Arizona too?
State, strong Latino population,
oh,
strong black
yes.
population.
That's exactly why.
And how the Democratic leadership in Texas, and it's changed, by the way, it has changed, but the Democratic leadership previously in Texas was pathetic. I've been there several times, but I think things are changing, and I think they're getting their act together, and I think there's no reason why Texas should not be a progressive state.
Well, I think with Jasmine at the helm, there's going to be a long shot at that happening. Now, elsewhere, there is some more Democrat primary deliciousness. Brad Lander, remember this guy? He's now going to be running against Dan Goldman. You remember Dan. He is now facing a primary challenge from the left. Brad Lander in Brooklyn is going to be attacking his flank, and he's going to be endorsed by Zohran Mamdani. Oh no, that's going to be a fun one. The city comptroller is expected to open his campaign with a pivotal endorsement from Mamdani, who is the hottest commie in New York right now. The Democrat Socialist mayor-elect's first formal nod since entering the landscape. Lander also got support from Sanders Warren. He shot his campaign launch video with some scenes in his Park Slope community, and he's going after Goldman. Wow, that'd be great to have Goldman out. Goldman's a piece of work. This guy wouldn't be any better, but Goldman's a piece of work. These are urgent times when ICE agents are abducting our neighbors. Oh, abductions. Yeah. Do you call it an abduction when a person is arrested? No, it's only illegal aliens are kidnapped off the streets. Anybody else is arrested and detained, but illegals have more privileges than citizens. Mamdani beat the crap out of Cuomo, obviously. Goldman is a Manhattan Democrat, second term, former prosecutor, Leon Strauss Empire, okay, comes from daddy's jeans money. The incumbent has advocated for taxing the ultra wealthy and has criticized settler violence. Both Goldman and Lander are Jewish. Lander and Goldman are aligned in the resistance against Trump. It's like Lander's not gonna be any better, but Goldman, it would be nice to have him kind of, get taken out by his own team. That'd be fun politically. Now, we also saw Congressman Brandon Gill said that Jasmine, as this battle continues, is one of the most pro-criminal candidates that they could have ever found. Texas wants leaders who enforce the law, not activists who elevate criminals. Here's another House rep called Brandon Gill.
Texas is a state where President Trump won by 14 points. She's saying she doesn't need Trump voters for her to win this. Yes, she does. Listen, you know she can't win. I know she can't win, and she does apparently too. Now, let me tell you, Sean, if Texans support one thing, it's law and order. And listen, this is probably the most pro-criminal candidate Democrats could have possibly found. This is somebody who has supported the defund the police movement, somebody who has said on record that just because you commit a crime doesn't mean that you're a criminal. This is somebody who has said on record that just because somebody crosses our border illegally, that is not a crime. Texans want somebody representing them who's going to stand for law and order, and that is certainly not Jasmine Crockett.
Yeah, so Jasmine has been goaded by the Republicans into this position. We certainly hope she wins so that she ultimately loses. But a nice strategic play from the National Republican Senate Committee to, I guess, encourage her to take this path. And ultimately, we'll see what happens, but I'm not sure who else can beat her. She seems to me to be the highest profile Democrat in Texas, really, one of them. Beto couldn't win it. Allred couldn't win it. They were a little bit more moderate than her. So now she wins, drives all of the independents away. Even if you have a Paxton versus Crockett, seems like a pretty obvious outcome to us. So nice move from the Republican committee, the Senate committee. Maybe the other efforts will also come to fruition as nicely as this one did. We'll keep our eye on it. Big elections coming soon.